Hi guys, and welcome to round number 3. In this game I played against a 2200 player and I had the black pieces, and he surprised me in the opening again because he used to play only c3 lines, which I was prepared for, but then he started with b3, which is a sideline, but a sideline which I already faced several times, so I knew what to do, but the problem was he knew it as well, and he was even a bit further prepared than me, so he spent much less time in the opening. But here we follow some normal line. Queen e2, white is intending to castle queenside, and black should be a bit careful with his development. For example, knight f6 would not be that great here because you always need to watch out for the e5 push. So in general, it's quite a valid strategy here to first expand on the queen side, because we are sure white will castle this way, and not to give any targets at the king side. So that's why a6 is an interesting try here. And after castles, just b5. Of course, we do not develop right here, but we will get out the pieces later, and for white there are no clear targets on the king side. As soon as you put your knight there, you have some issues with e5. If you start with the bishop, you have some issues with the g7 pawn. So in general, black has a lot of useful moves on the queen side to improve the position. So if white doesn't open the center, I could still improve my position and only then think about finishing all the development. Also, some knight d4 jumps could be interesting if white is not acting in the center. But he did act in the center and he played d4, which I more or less expected, and I traded the pieces because the rook is a bit awkward on d4, and also I get the open c file, which I occupied with rook c8, putting some pressure on the c3 knight. But he just continued with normal play king b1, which is usually a very useful move because the king is just safer here than on c1, protecting the a2 pawn, sidestepping this diagonal. So this is fine. So what to do now? I decided to put some pressure on his c3 knight with queen a5, which is decent, and he protected this knight with the rook. In the game, I also consider queen d2 because he's putting some pressure on the d7 pawn, and I calculated this funny line, which goes bishop b4, very forcing because the knight is just under attack, and the critical line is of course this one here, takes on c3, bishop takes c3, and now black has only one move, which, if you want to guess it, pause the video, which is rook c3. If we take with the queen first, if we take with the queen first, he will just trade and be one pawn up, and black is not developed and it's just lost. But if we take with the rook, we have a little trick prepared, because he cannot take our bishop because of check, attacking the black queen with our queen, and after king c1, important rook b1, and we win the queen and black is winning. So that's actually working for black, but he did not go for it and he just dropped his rook back. And here was a very major decision point in the game, where I had seen the options of going b4 or knight f6. And in the end, I decided to play knight f6, because if b4, knight d1, and then knight f6, I was a bit afraid that I give him the c4 square too early and he can potentially bring his knight there, which is not so much of a concern, but it's there. I created a weakness in my position, and I wanted to stay a bit more flexible and start with the knight move, because I expected f3 anyway, and I was not scared of e5, but he played it, and still I did not feel in danger, but computer is seeing some advantage for white. But still I felt very stable here. I have a good bishop. I have some plans of going here. He has not yet developed his pieces, but he was still very well prepared and played h4 very quickly, trying to get his rook around. to g3 and then maybe also start attacking my king. And yeah, that's quite good. So I decided to continue developing and trade this bishop, preparing to castle, and he should allow the trade because after this I also have some tiny tactics which is equalizing. I can open the b file here. He needs to sacrifice, otherwise I win material. And here he can still defend the checkmate, but black is okay. In the game I was even thinking that I'm winning here because white is so passive with those bishops, but it's in fact not winning, but still it should be fine for black. Also computer saying black is totally okay here. So, but that didn't happen, so he didn't remove the bishop, but brought his rook into the game. I castled and he played rook to g3. Now I traded the bishops, and here I needed to make a decision again because I have several plans available. First one is opening the f line, which I in the game did not like because of queen g4, and I thought this looks very, very threatening after h5, and I stopped here, which was maybe too early, but also maybe just human because it looks very dangerous. Black can survive all the stuff, but it's a mess, and something like this is playable because we have counterplay, but still I feel this is not the human way to play it. So I decided not to play f6. With f5 I didn't see the big purpose why it's improving anything. And okay, doubling rooks is also possible, and I consider this of course, but here I thought he has several options, maybe even c3, and I cannot really put enough pressure on c3 because he will just hold it. And there is nothing. So I decided to play b4, fixing the c3 square. So he cannot get control of the square, and maybe I double the rooks now. Maybe rook c5, queen a3 check, rook is swinging to a5, or maybe the next rook is coming and I'm not targeting c3 but c2, and this might be serious. But again he found a very good reply, which was c4. And now still I could play this f6 stuff, which is very similar, but I still disliked it of course. And I also considered giving a check, and after king to b1 play pawn to a5 because the bishop is untouchable because of checkmate on c1. But I kind of disliked it because rook d1 protecting the checkmate, and maybe just trading the queens, and the queen trade is in general something I'm not very happy about here, because then my weaknesses on the queen side, they might tell in the end, and there I should be even careful. So that's why I didn't go for this one. Of course I can also retreat, but I thought my attack is very slow, and yeah, that's why I decided just to open the position to kind of switch his focus from the king side attack to the queen side. But yeah, I'm not better here, I'm even worse, which I did not see like this in the game. But yeah, it's just like this. I have no clear targets, and it's not so easy to play against this king. And meanwhile, my a6 pawn might just be hanging. And I decided to trade this pawn for another pawn, but he again offers the queen trade, which is something I really do not like. So I tried to go away from the queen trade, and now after a5, queen c5, I'm kind of bothered with the queen trade, because in the endgame, this potential pass pawn can be very dangerous. So that's why the endgame is not so good for black. That's why I tried to move my queen away while still attacking some targets, maybe here, maybe coming here, pinning, or maybe coming in there in case he takes the pawn. But here white would have had a very strong reply, which is bishop d3, which neither of us had seen, because the tactical point is queen takes e5 and bishop h7. and my rook would drop and white is winning. So in this case I should probably go back, which is of course a big concession and not something to be happy about, and white is much better, even though black might still have some saving chances. Instead, in the game, he wanted to repeat the moves to make a draw, but I was a bit too ambitious playing for a win here, despite my position was worse. So that was maybe already a bit stupid, and here I tried even more, but I could not find anything. Then we repeated moves again, and I again refused to repeat the moves and played queen h1. But already here, white is again much better, and after bishop b5, I started to feel that I have no chances to be better at all. I have nothing to attack, and I played bishop c6, offering a draw, which he again luckily took. Of course, it's not clearly winning for white, because I might have some counterplay, opening his king and so on, but still I have a very passive rook. I have a king who is out of action in case of any rook ending. The white king can be much faster, and also white's queen is just more centralized than mine, and he has also some clear targets. So I was quite happy with the draw here, which I could of course take with the repetition a few moves earlier, but in general white could have been more ambitious here, and I needed to solve some serious problems. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I could give some insights on my game, and I hope to see you for round number 4. Goodbye.